You see it everywhere, right? Sports betting apps are on just about every phone. And because of that, gambling on college campuses has absolutely exploded. It's become a huge public health issue. But beyond all the noise, what does the science actually say works to fix it? Well, we're about to find out. Okay, let's jump right in.
So, let's just start with this number, 10.2%. What is that? Well, that's the percentage of all college students who are experiencing what's called problem gambling. Now, to put that in perspective, that is way higher than the rate for the general adult population. It tells you something really important and kind of vulnerable is happening during those college years.
And, it's really important to get that this isn't all the same thing. There's a spectrum. That 10.2% problem gambling means the behavior is causing serious, real-world trouble. But for a shocking 6.1% of students, it's gone even further. They actually meet the criteria for a full-blown clinical diagnosis, gambling disorder. We're talking about a serious, recognized behavioral addiction.
Okay, so how does this actually look on campus? What are students betting on? Well, while lottery tickets are super common, just look at the explosion in sports betting. But here's the really critical part. It's how they're betting. Over 2/3 of those student sports bettors are doing it online. The casino, the bookie, it's all right there in their pocket, 24/7.
So this all leads to the big question, right? The whole reason we're digging into this. When you're facing a crisis that's growing this fast, what can anyone, universities, campus health centers, or students themselves actually do that we know works? Well, to get some real answers, we're not just guessing. We're turning to a massive, systematic review of the science. Researchers looked back at 25 years of studies to figure out which strategies are actually effective and which ones are just, well, wishful thinking. And this slide really shows you just how serious that search was. I mean, look at this funnel. They started with almost 1,000 different studies. Then they carefully filtered them down, checking for quality and relevance until they were left with just the 14 absolute best, most reliable trials. Everything we're about to talk about is built on this rock-solid, evidence-based foundation.
All right, so after all that work, what did they find? What are the interventions that have been scientifically proven to help college students dial back on harmful gambling? Okay, first up, and this is the big one, is something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. This isn't just about trying harder or having more willpower. It's a type of therapy that gets right to the root of the problem. It helps students identify and then change those destructive thought patterns. The "I'm due for a win" or "I have a special system" kind of thinking that fuels the gambling in the first place. And then you've got this other powerhouse tool that works great with CBT, motivational interviewing, or MI. Think about it. If you're a student and maybe you're not even sure you have a problem, someone just telling you to stop isn't going to work, right? MI is different. It's a counseling style that helps you work through those mixed feelings and find your own reasons, your own internal motivation to make a change.
And here's the kicker. When you put these two together, CBT and MI, it's like a 1-2 punch. The evidence is just crystal clear. The combination leads to major, measurable drops in gambling-related problems.
Okay, this next one is absolutely fascinating. It's called Personalized Normative Feedback, or PNF, and it's so powerful because it's built to tackle that super strong feeling on campus that, hey, everyone's doing this, so it must be okay. It directly confronts that everybody's doing it mindset. And here's exactly how it works in the real world. A student might honestly believe everyone here is placing huge bets on sports every single weekend. PNF steps in and shows them the actual, real data from their own campus, which usually says something like, actually, most students here barely gamble at all and bet way less money than you think. Just that simple act of correcting a myth can completely change their perspective and their behavior.
And this isn't just some quick fix. As the researchers themselves point out, because this changes how a student sees their entire social world, it can create real, sustainable, long-term change. It's incredibly powerful.
So we've talked about the psychology, but what about the tech? Well, it turns out that smart, and often really simple, technology can be a huge help here too. Get this. One study tested something so simple, just a pop-up message that appeared before a student started playing an online game. All it did was ask them to set a time limit for themselves. The results were astounding. 100% of the students who saw the pop-up set a limit, and those who set a limit ended up spending significantly less time gambling. A simple digital nudge made a huge, real-world difference. And the list of good ideas doesn't stop there. The research also found other promising strategies. Things like group CBT, which adds that power of peer support, or smartphone apps that can send that personalized feedback we talked about right to your phone. Even simple warning messages can help chip away at those faulty beliefs that keep people gambling.
But look, as great as all this sounds, the research isn't perfect. It also shines a bright light on what we don't know yet. And understanding these blind spots is absolutely crucial if we're going to move forward.
The researchers flagged 4 really big ones. First, the online gambling gap. Most of these amazing tools were designed for old-school traditional gambling, not the super-fast world of modern betting apps. Second, the cultural gap. The vast majority of this research comes from Western countries, so we have no idea if these strategies will work for students globally. Third, the mental health connection. Almost none of these studies were specifically designed for students who are also struggling with things like depression or anxiety. And finally, the real-world test. A lot of these studies happen in the controlled lab, not in the messy, chaotic reality of an actual campus health center.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. We know what works, and we know what's missing. So what's the next move? What does all this research tell us about the next hand to play?
So, at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. We have a solid toolkit. We know that combining CBT and MI is great for tackling a student's thoughts and motivations. We know PNF is a fantastic tool for correcting social myths, and we know that even simple tech nudges can help students regulate themselves and cut down on how much time they spend gambling.
But the really big takeaway from the researchers is this. Our solutions can't be set in stone. They have to evolve. As gambling tech changes, and as we learn more about how it's all tied up with mental health, our interventions have to adapt right along with it.
And this really brings it home to a bigger and maybe the most critical point of all. This isn't just about expecting individual students to figure this out on their own. It's about the universities themselves stepping up. It's about training staff, creating smart awareness campaigns, and weaving these proven tools into the very fabric of campus support.
Which leaves all of us with this final thought. In a world where a high-stakes bet is literally just a tap away on a phone, the evidence shows us what can work. The challenge now is for colleges and students to actually work together, put this knowledge into practice, and learn how to play a much smarter and much safer hand.